Okay. So motivation, if I were to ask you this question, what do you understand by motivation? Can anybody take that question and come back with what you think is motivation?
Well, it's what drives you forward. It's kind of your purpose.
Wow.
I
Okay.
agree. I think it's what inspires you to keep on going when something is hard.
Fabulous. You're spot on. You guys are, you know, that's a perfect introduction to the chapter. It gives you a sense of purpose. It's the drive that you have towards achieving something. When do you say you're really motivated?
I would say when you have a goal that you could
Uh-huh.
see ahead of you.
What else, Arbor?
Um, Usually like when you could picture like an endpoint, it really it can motivate you because you're willing to put in the work to try to achieve that endpoint.
I really like that. When you said, I think you're actually referring to something we call as visualization. If you visualize, have a vision for yourself, and if you can see where you're going, I think that really motivates. So all of your definitions are perfectly spot on. When anybody else who wants to talk about motivation,
Also, yeah, when you do something like an activity that you like to do, that is going to motivate you more, I think.
yeah, and then that's a real good way of saying, yeah, you want to do something that's purposeful, you're interested in achieving something. These are all very valid points of what you think is motivation. What else can be motivation?
Inspiration.
When you feel inspired, absolutely spot on. So you have these energized levels, those higher energy levels that you have. Then you say you are motivated, you are inspired to achieve something. So all of your definitions are spot on. So we want to describe the key three elements of motivation, what basically is motivation, and then we will go off to other learning objectives for today. Compare the early theories of We can compare the early theories of motivation, contrast the elements of self-determination theory and goal-setting theory. We have another learning objective for today, which is look at how self-efficacy, reinforcement, equity, and expectancy theories, plenty of theories which explain motivation. And eventually we'll move off to uh, discussing implications at the workplace, which is job involvement, job satisfaction, job engagement, organizational commitment. There are plenty of implications of motivation at the workplace. And the last learning objective for today is going to be describe how these contemporary theories of motivation complement one another. They're not completely distinct, and they actually are in support of one another. And if you're a manager, it'll be a smart move if you can combine some of these theories and use it together to keep your employees motivated. So we're going to this definition of motivation that you all, participated to tell me what is motivation. So it's the process of that accounts for an individual's intensity for doing something, direction and persistence. I think what you kind of forgot, you said purpose, which is direction and having a goal. Intensity is the drive and inspiration put together, I believe. And the persistence, how long can you keep that effort going? You are having that effort, you are trying really hard, you know where what you want to achieve in terms of a goal, but how long can you keep that efforts going? If you don't quit, if you stay focused, and if you continue to try against all odds, that is when you say you're truly motivated. So the three things really should be there if you say somebody is motivated. Intensity, that means you should enjoy what you're doing, you put a lot of effort, you're passionate about what you do. You got to have a sense of purpose or sense of direction. Your efforts are all towards achieving something specific, something that you have visualized for yourself. So obviously that gives you direction and persistence. That spirit of never to quit, that's extremely important. You will be faced with challenges at the personal level, at the organizational level, but you don't call it quits. You just don't give up at all. You come up with out of the box thinking, different approaches, but you keep trying. And that ability to keep up that effort for a long duration of time is a clear indication somebody has motivation. So the level of motivation varies between individuals and within individuals at different times. Sometimes we feel super motivated. Sometimes, yeah, our motivation levels, and I'm not going to use the word demotivated, but our motivation levels drop a little bit, a trifle. That can happen to us at times. Maybe physically we are not having the strength. Sometimes things go all wrong. So our motivation levels take a dip, but then people who are truly motivated, who can lead themselves at the personal level, they know how to pick up themselves and then they're never just going to give up. So those are the three elements that we just discussed. Intensity is concerned with how hard a person tries, how passionate you are, and direction, the orientation that benefits the organization. It could be achieving a large goal for the company. It could be departmental goals, divisional goals, team goals, and then eventually individual goals as well. Persistence, it's a measure of how long a person can maintain his or her effort. So obviously the effort is an important thing in motivation. Now, can I ask you this question? What currently motivates you? Maybe there are two, three different goals that keep you motivated, that let you, passionately go after those goals, and you will not give up because you're really motivated to achieve that. So
I mean, right now, me personally, I'm trying to like exercise right, eat properly, because not saying that I'm fat or anything, but I always like wanted like a cut body, like abs, right?
Joshua, you have a lot of background noise. I don't know for whatever reason.
1 second, hold on.
Yeah, sure. Now it's getting better.
Yeah, so I was basically saying that right now, I have a goal to basically eat properly, cut out all fast food. I'm not even drinking no juice, nothing like that, just straight water, tea, protein, stuff like that, vegetables. And it's hard, but I mean, what keeps me like motivated towards getting it is like the end goal. Like I think one of the other people were saying, like how I know that I'll look in the end after I, complete this, I know that it won't be for nothing. So that keeps me like locked in on not just going and getting fast food or drinking a soda or something like that.
That's amazing. I think that's a great place to start because if you're physically fit and if you feel good and you feel energized at a physical level, that translates into your, university and into your grades, into your workplace. Everything would change because I think it's very important that we care for our physical fitness. So what you're doing is just an amazing thing. And what amazes me is when you said it's hard, it's difficult because from someone like me, I've never had sodas. I don't have sodas. I may have sodas once a year, perhaps. And even if I do that, my daughter will tell me it's bad for your health, Papa. And then I've never had meat, no chicken, none of the fast foods. We always cook at home. I'm vegetarian. So for me, this is just obvious. I don't eat fast foods. I don't have all that kind of junk. So for me, it just is part of my life. So something that you say you're just beginning to do that and you find it tough, but you still are motivated to do it. I mean, it's just a habit. So I think most of our stuff that we try to achieve in life should become habitual. And in that case, you can pursue other things with the energy that you have, with the time that you have at your disposal. But you're on a right note. You've started on the right thing, and I'm sure you will do great. Contemporary theories that explain motivation is Maslow's hierarchy of needs. I'm sure you took it in, say, Management 102, your basic course in management. Maslow's hierarchy of needs is a great theory to start understanding what motivation is. So Maslow actually says everybody is driven by needs, and those needs could be arranged in a form of a hierarchy. It could be arranged in the form of a pyramid, meaning which once you achieve these lower level needs or primary needs, the physiological needs, then you go up, right up there, which is self-actualization. So you can start out with physiological needs, food, clothing, shelter, the basic needs that every human being requires. So we're all concerned about that. And Maslow says once those needs are satisfied, these things motivate us. We want a decent home. We want nutritious food. We want, clothes to wear and protect ourselves. So obviously these things motivate us. But once these needs are satisfied, maybe you were never even thought about it because your parents took good care about you. The physiological needs never motivate you anymore. You're thinking about tomorrow, you're thinking about the future. And that means you're thinking about some sense of security. It could be job security, financial security, security for the future. So you're thinking of savings, you're thinking of investments, you're thinking of future returns. So that's what actually drives our actions. That's what motivates us. And once you're secure, you feel safe enough, you actually care for social needs and belongingness needs. You want to belong to a community, to a society, to a family, to a friend, a friendship group, all kinds of groups we belong to because we have these social needs, the belongingness needs. And if these needs are satisfied, then comes the esteem needs. We want to be recognized, we want to be respected, we want to have some status in society, we want to be looked up, as a source of inspiration, as a role model. All that makes us feel good about ourselves. We have a sense of self-worth, and those needs are, encapsulated in the esteem needs. So once your esteem needs are satisfied, you think, what's the purpose of my life? I have everything. I have the money. I have the beautiful homes. I have enough cash for the future, a lot of investments. I belong to my family. I belong to a community. Yeah, I belong to an organization. I get recognized everywhere I go. So all those are satisfied. You keep thinking, what's the purpose of my life? What is that I have to give back? What makes me really happy and satisfied? So Abraham Maslow says you will reach there where you start thinking, what is the true purpose of my life? What is that I've been sent here for? Is there something that is unique, which is not exactly the same for everyone? And is there something that I want to achieve for myself? So can I ask you this question to all of you? And anybody can take this question. Have you figured out what is your self-actualization needs? Your true potential? What is that you want to achieve?
I can't say that I have. No.
Anybody is thinking about it now, right now, as I ask you that question? Let's assume all your other needs are satisfied. Your basic needs, your security needs, you have a great career, you have great investments, you belong, you have a nice family, you have everything that you thought of, and you're recognized, you have the kind of respect in society. So is that going to make you happy? Are you going to be fully, content and very happy? Or is there something that will motivate you to say, what's the purpose of my life? Is there something beyond all this? Have you thought about it? Tough question, huh? So anyway, so this is Maslow's theory, but there's been some criticism of Maslow's hierarchy. It's not necessary that all our physiological needs have to be satisfied for us to think of safety and security. It's not necessary all the safety and security needs have to be satisfied before we think of belongingness. Always not necessary that these have to be satisfied. It's not hierarchical. Some of the places they find out sometimes people don't have enough here, and they're also already thinking of social and belongingness needs. I can give you examples. In India, for example, people don't have enough to eat. They don't have enough to eat every day. But if you go to them, they're willing to share. They'll happily share their meal. They might have not eaten for a week, but when you go to their home, they're willing to share their food. It's not they have enough, they don't have security for the future. They don't belong somewhere because nobody wants them, but they're still willing to share. They have so much to give. They're still smiling. They're happy to help. So to me, Maslow's hierarchy of needs doesn't have to follow this exact path. It can be people who don't have enough food to eat, a decent home to live, can already know the purpose of their life. They're very peaceful, they're happy, their life is very simple, it's not complicated. Perhaps they know what life is. They've already reached self-actualization. I know, I know saints in India who have not spoken for 10, 12 years. Can you imagine not speaking for 10 years or 12 years? You don't speak for 12 years. Self-actualization. They barely eat anything, if at all they eat. So they don't need all this. They don't need a luxurious place to live. They don't need somebody to tell them that they're wonderful, that they are great. They don't need recognition. And they don't have to speak to feel good. Not to speak means not to be recognized. Speaking makes our ego satisfied, right? When we talk, our ego is satisfied. In meetings, in class, everywhere we go, we want to talk. We don't want to listen as much. We want to talk because when we talk, our ego is satisfied. But such a person who doesn't have to speak for 12 years, I mean, they don't really need recognition from anywhere. They know who they are. So self-actualization can come to a hungry person, can come to a person who doesn't care for the rest of the things. So there is criticism of Maslow's hierarchy. But in general, for people like you and me, for ordinary people like you and me, I think the Maslow's hierarchy of needs makes sense. We need to satisfy our physiological needs. We need to have some sense of security. We should belong to a community or a family. We should have some recognition and respect in society. And then we start figuring out what's the purpose of a life? What is that we are here for? Is there something that I have in terms of potential that can be realized? So that's what I was saying. Maslow's theory has received great recognition, and practicing managers understand it. It's intuitive, it's logical for you to understand. But in diverse cultures, it has different meanings. Just now I explained about how Maslow's hierarchy can fit in India's culture. It might not work every time that way with every person. But generally speaking, with most people at the workplace, Maslow's hierarchy of needs or theory of motivation is still very relevant. There's the second theory by Frederick Herzberg. He uses the two-factor theory. Herzberg called the two factors as being satisfiers and dissatisfiers. It's a great thing to do. This study is a wonderful study. He found out it's not the same things that make you satisfied as that make you dissatisfied. There are different things that make you dissatisfied at the workplace. There are different things that make you satisfied at the workplace. And based on his research, he figured out satisfiers are achievement, recognition, work, the type of work, responsibility, advancement, and growth. He called these as satisfiers based on his research. So, among the many things that he took into consideration, he said these factors contribute to extreme satisfaction. And that's why he called these factors as satisfiers: achievement, recognition, the type of work, responsibility, advancement in professional life, in personal life, growth opportunities within the company. He called these as the most important satisfiers. So can anybody tell me when did you achieve something and you felt extremely satisfied? If you think about it, even today, you feel very satisfied in terms of achievement?
It's not really an achievement, but in the last few months, the graphic cards were really rare, and the production is really low, so it's very hard to get one. And I managed to get one, so I feel very satisfied.
Yeah, so you try for something, you persist for something, and you know it's very difficult to get that something. And eventually, if you get it, it's very satisfying because you worked really hard for it, big or small, whatever you try. And because you've been persistent, it really matters to you. It has some psychological value for you. And when you achieve, in managing to get it, it's very satisfying. Anybody else? Something that you achieved made you really satisfied? Yeah, you're right, Trin. It doesn't really matter big or small. A good grade in a good, difficult course. Suppose the course is all numbers, you find it pretty challenging, and you work that much more hard. You took help from online, you took some mentoring, somebody was there to help you. You practiced yourself a lot, and you got an A. It's very satisfying. It's an achievement. To me, your GPA, overall GPA for the bachelor's, is pretty much an achievement. Your extracurricular activities, your co-curricular activities. Say you did a research work with, because Trin is speaking on the chat. Trin has done some research with one of our professors. I'm sure that is very satisfying, Trin, right?
I have a question, Professor.
Yeah.
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. I was just wondering if satisfaction can be something external from you. Like, for example, I'm a fanatic supporter of AC Milan, which is an Italian soccer team, and whenever they win, I feel satisfied.
I know the way you put it is Filippo is very nice. You think like that shows the kind of person you are. Very genuine the way you explained it. To be honest, like yeah, that can be satisfying. Not in terms you're happy, you're glad, that generates positive emotions and feelings. But I wouldn't put it as a satisfier in terms of motivation. You might be motivated by what AC Milan does to go at work at your own workplace and do really well. You say, okay, they're professional. They work very hard for their success. They're consistent. So I should also be consistent. I should be passionate about what I do. So it could be at your workplace. It could be about your hobbies. It could be about a sport that you really like. And it could translate into your efforts. You got me? So
Yeah, yeah, that's what I meant. Like,
okay.
it makes my day better, you know.
Oh,
So
okay.
like,
Yeah,
like
then definitely your example is perfect example. So you're translating everything that happens to you, and you make it get counted in your own work. That's amazing. So that sense of responsibility, achievement, because you want the same level of recognition as AC Milan does in their own sport. So I think that's all, satisfiers. It's a great way of motivating yourself because you take something that happens at your personal level and you're translating that into your education, your career, your hobbies, your passions. That's fantastic way of motivating yourself. So definitely, yeah. All your achievements, guys, by the way, anything that you participate in a conference, in a webinar, you take a certificate, you get a credential, you go through some training, you participate in some faculty mentored research, all these are achievements because you get recognition. You can put them on your resume. So work, key performance indicators. What were your key performance areas, accomplishments? So find out at least 2, 3 bullets, say in academics, in your career, in your internships, in research, in sport. I don't know, you can find 2, 3 bullets under each. Those are extremely satisfying. You're proud of them. So obviously these things at the workplace, Frederick Herzberg found are satisfiers, and these are motivators. So if you give employees a chance for them to achieve something, if you give an employee an opportunity to be recognized, you give an employee interesting work, challenging work. If you give employee extra responsibility, or if you give an employee an opportunity to advance in his or her career, and if you give anything in support of letting that individual grow professionally, personally, so learning opportunities, some training sessions, these are things that really motivate employees. That's what Frederick Herzberg spoke about. Then the other side, he calls them as dissatisfiers. These are supposed to be present to prevent dissatisfaction. If these are not there, they will be dissatisfied. If these elements are there, they're not going to be dissatisfied. If they are not there, they will be dissatisfied. If they are there, it'll prevent dissatisfaction. It's not necessary it'll make them satisfied. It will prevent dissatisfaction. What are those? Policy and administration. You want fair policies. You want equitable distribution. You want justice at the workplace. Type of supervisor that you have, somebody who treats you with respect and dignity. It's not going to make you satisfied, but it'll definitely prevent dissatisfaction. Relationship with the supervisor, work conditions. The workplace is a nice place to work. People are great to work with. The salary. We want good, decent pay, equitable pay for equitable work, and relationship with the other members at the workplace. So these are all important elements to prevent dissatisfaction. You would feel like going there because all these conditions are called as hygiene factors. These are called motivators, and these factors are called as hygiene factors. They must be there. Otherwise, people are going to be dissatisfied. These are called hygiene factors. Would you agree? You need salary which is equitable. You need good relations with your peer group, with your supervisor. The supervision should be sensible. You get proper direction and support. Policies must be fair. So if these are there, these are hygiene factors. They prevent dissatisfaction. These are called motivators. They make you satisfied. They make you motivated. It's a nice, very nice theory, which explains the difference between motivators and hygiene factors, or satisfiers versus dissatisfiers. So this is exactly the traditional view. Is you think opposite of satisfaction is dissatisfaction. That's the traditional view. But Frederick Herzberg's view, he says motivators, if they're there, the first few things: achievement, recognition, work, responsibility, advancement, and growth. If they're there, then you have motivators. If they're there, you have satisfaction. If they're not there, no satisfaction. Then you have the other factors here: policy, supervision, relationship with the supervisor, working conditions, salary, relationship with other members at the workplace. These are called hygiene factors. The hygiene factors, if they are there, no dissatisfaction, which is a good thing. But if they are not there, people are going to be dissatisfied. So you have to have both of them: hygiene factors to prevent dissatisfaction, motivators to ensure satisfaction or motivation. Okay, so do you understand Herzberg's theory, the two-factor theory? Frederick Herzberg, he called two factors which are used for explaining motivation at the workplace. You understand that? Questions? Okay. Then you have the third theory. Maslow's theory was the first one, the hierarchy of needs: physiological needs, security and safety needs, belongingness needs, esteem needs, and self-actualization needs. Then you have the two-factor theory, Herzberg's two factors. One are called motivators, other ones are called as hygiene factors. You need hygiene factors to prevent dissatisfaction. You need motivators to create satisfaction. The third theory, which explains this is also an early theory of motivation, is David Mcclellan's theory of needs. So what motivates individuals is need for achievement, need for power, and need for affiliation. So need for achievement: you want to excel, you want to do really good, you want to achieve something, you want to succeed. So obviously that's need for achievement. It can be high, it can be moderate, it can be low. People with low achievement needs are not going to be motivated that much to try very hard and to pursue those goals, extremely hard, to be persistent, because they are low on need for achievement. The need for power is you want to control how others behave. You want to control your team. You want to control your employees. That need for power can be high, it can be moderate, it can be low. And then need for affiliation: you want to belong to a group, you want to be friendly, you want to have some close interpersonal relationships. So that need for affiliation for certain people can be extremely high, some people moderate, some people don't want to have great number of friends and great number of relationships going on. So it's a combination. Whether you're motivated or not motivated is a combination of these three needs. So I would encourage one of you to tell me what levels of needs you have. Need for achievement, do you have high, moderate, or low? Need for power, do you have high, moderate, or low? Need for affiliation, do you have high, moderate, or low? Can anybody take that question and explain yourself in terms of those three needs and what motivates you?
I guess I'll take it on.
Mm-hmm.
So as far as need for achievement, I guess I'm kind of average. I like getting stuff done,
Mm-hmm.
but these days I'm kind of in the middle. Need for power, I'm not super power hungry.
Mm-hmm.
I like being able to influence someone, but it's really not something I need that much. So I'd say it's low. And need for affiliation, I feel like is a little higher these days because, well, there's not many people to affiliate with.
Okay, is there anything that you might want to work on to keep yourself more motivated, or do you think you're good as you are right now?
I think I'm kind of good.
Okay, but then need for power, I think, when you said low, I would say you should have moderate need for power, because that way you have greater control of what happens to you at the workplace. That means you're comfortable controlling things. You're also comfortable being controlled. So I would think it's not necessary it has to be that way, but I don't think it should be so low. It can get better, and it can get to the point where it's moderate. Yeah, I like the way you say you're not power hungry, nor am I, but sometimes you want to have greater control over resources, over the way things are done at the workplace, perhaps for a good reason, because you're more skilled, you're more experienced, you would contribute more, you would make more impact on all stakeholders involved. So I think moderate need for power could get you better chances of doing, even better at your workplace. You're good, you can get even better, and you have greater control over the outcomes, basically.
Okay, that sounds good.
Yeah, so I'm when I ask a question, what I'm trying to do is understand how you think about yourself, and if possible, add some value and get your mindset to think differently. Not necessarily you have to follow my advice, but I would want you to explore. That's the key. So when I ask you a question, I think it's a great opportunity for you to say, this is how I think about myself, because that gives me a deeper insight of who you are. And from my experience, there are things that I have not been able to do that I should have done. And I can tell you from my mistakes rather than just from my success. I can tell you how you could proceed further in life. Then you have another theory called as self-determination theory. This is a very interesting theory. People prefer to feel they have control over their actions. This is exactly what I was saying, Chris. You would want to feel that you have control over it. That way, you don't have to feel you have to do it, but you can feel more you want to do it. That want is the motivation. You got me? That desire to do something is the want. I should not feel I have to do it because my boss told me to do something. I should not feel I have to do it because I have to do it to keep my job. I want to do it. Like, say, teaching, for example. I want to teach. There's nobody who has to tell me you have to teach. There's nobody who has to tell me you have to give all your 1 hour, 20 minutes class. Nobody has to tell me that. I really want to teach. So I think that's a self-determination theory, which is keeping me motivated to be a teacher. After 25 years of teaching, you suddenly can think, what motivates me now? But if you found a job that really keeps you motivated because you want to do it, it's a self-determination thing. You have control over things. You have control over your own actions. So to me, just the fact that I'm able to talk to young minds like you, all of you, you're all the future of this world. You're all amazing people. Just the fact that I'm able to interact with you and talk to you, I feel it's a blessing. So I want to do it because that keeps me going. Nothing makes me feel bored, even if I have to teach the same theories. These are all old theories. So I don't feel bored of it because I really want to do it. That's a self-determination. So you have to have that need for autonomy. People seek ways to achieve competence and positive connections to others. Again, when you said affiliation, you want to do it is a great beginning point. How do you have to do it in a world which is hit by the pandemic and where everything seems to be virtual? How do you do it? I can ask you this question, Chris. Continuing with what you said with Mcclellan's theory of the three needs and self-determination, you want to have more positive connections to others. How do you get that?
That's sort of difficult unless if I find people at work.
I can help you with that. That's pretty easy. It's not about what you want. It's about what you have to offer that will get you those connections. If you can invest in yourself to the point that your circle of influence gets larger and you have much more to offer, there'll be people who want to connect to you. And those are positive connections. See, in my situation, because I'm a professor, I can be a mentor, I can be a guide. I'm somebody who can be a mentor to many people. It doesn't have to be only mentoring on academic issues. It could be career, it could be personal. So I have people connecting to me from engineering school. It's surprising, right? I mean, School of Management, and I understand they're my students, they can talk to me. I have some students from the engineering school who talk to me. So I'm like, wow, that's nice, that's interesting. And then they ask me all kinds of questions, interdisciplinary studies, certification programs, micro-credentials, career options, some personal issues because of the COVID. So it's what I have to offer that gets me those positive connections. So, invert the whole thought process. It's not about you want connections because you don't feel connected because of the virtual world. It's about what can I offer? What other groups can I offer? Not just my colleagues. Can I reach out? Can I help? I think that way you build strong, positive connections even in a virtual world. Yeah, then you have the goal setting theory. When extrinsic rewards are used as payoffs for performance, people do feel good about it, but then extrinsic rewards should actually complement intrinsic motivation. Not always money can motivate people. You have to be very careful with which you associate extrinsic rewards. Anything to do with money, bonus, incentives, anything like that might not motivate people always. They can feel as if they're being manipulated, they're being coerced to do some work. So when you give extrinsic motivation, suppose I tell you, I can pay you $1,000 extra a month, but then the work is enormous. You have your plate full, and I'm saying, I'll pay you $1,000 extra, and can you work more? You might feel pushed. You might say, I have so much to do already. The $1,000, it's not about the $1,000 anymore. I love the money, but it's not going to motivate me. I'm feeling as if I'm being manipulated. I'm being tossed in all directions. So extrinsic motivation should support intrinsic motivation. Suppose you tell Prabhakar, I can pay you more, but do something that you're passionate about. Give you extra responsibility that you are actually intrinsically motivated. That way you're supporting, what we say, self-determination, right? I don't feel as if I'm being pushed, as if I'm being manipulated, as if I'm being forced to work for that extrinsic reward, but that extrinsic reward ties into my intrinsic motivation under specific circumstances. I know it's a little abstract, but I'm trying to get there. Goal setting. Edwin Locke, this is the person who worked a lot on goal setting. Now, if you set goals that are pretty ordinary, that are pretty easy to achieve, you don't need your set of skills. You don't need the credentials that you have to achieve these goals. Such goals do not motivate you. Goals that are tough, that are challenging, that are called as stretch goals. In management, we call them as stretch goals. You need goals for each of you. Say we're talking to Daniel, we're talking to, say, Trin, or we're speaking about Arbor. Each of you likes to be challenged. You say, Professor, don't give me those simple goals. They don't motivate me anymore. I know I'm better than that. My skill sets are much better than that. Give me something that challenges me, that makes me work really hard or think outside the box. That challenges me to acquire new skills. That challenges me to build potential. So obviously you have to give goals that are specific and that's challenging, difficult. And when somebody accepts these difficult goals, they feel motivated to achieve it. And honest feedback should be given. When somebody does really great, you have to give performance feedback. That way you can keep the motivation going. So it's a beautiful way of motivating people with, of course, you don't set me impossible goals. If you set impossible goals to me, I'm going to be turned off. I'll not even accept them. There's no self-determination here. There's no self-motivation here because those are impossible goals. You tell me, Prabhakar, you have to do all the accreditation yourself. It's just impossible. Nobody has done that before and nobody can do it again. It's a team effort. So set goals which are doable, which are attainable, but they're still challenging. That's the beauty of goal setting theory. And then you support them with the kind of resources they require. You give them positive reinforcement and feedback. You did that, you will motivate people big time. Any of the challenging goals that you set for yourself this year? Challenging goals. Don't tell me ordinary goals that you would normally do. It doesn't require so much of effort. Your skills make it easy for you. Any one challenging goal that you set for yourself this whole year?
I have one.
Mm-hmm.
It's to make up for missing the goal in 2019, and it's to climb Mount Washington.
Wow, that's a tough goal. Yeah, it would put off somebody like me. We just physically not prepared for something like that. It requires some sense of training, some sense of physical, fitness to have that kind of goal. But that's a good goal. It just tests your perseverance. It tests your stamina, your resilience. I think all these are being tested, and those get translated to the workplace in some way or the other. So that's a great, challenging goal. Anybody else who has a challenging goal set for this year? I have a similar goal. You want to speak about it, Trin?
Yeah, I was wanting to go cave diving. The Sungdong Cave is like the second largest cave in the world, and it's like really amazing. But you have to train for that. It's like a 3-month training, and it's like a 4 days of inside a cave, without
Where is
any.
this?
It's in Vietnam.
Wow. Okay, cool.
Yeah.
And that you're a tough person. You're very strong internally. That shows the kind of thinking, the thought process that you have, Trin.
Thank you.
Yeah. And then we talk about self-determination theory, goal-setting theory at the workplace. This is how goals, which are at the organizational level, at the company level, they can be cascaded downwards. So at the company level, overall organizational level objectives, broad goals are set up. Then we have two different divisions. One is consumer products division, industrial products division. You can cascade those broad goals into divisional goals. And you have under each division, you have different departments, production, sales, customer service. This is because this is industrial product. It has marketing, research, and development. So at the departmental levels, the goals can be cascaded further down. And then when it comes to individual levels, we have key performance indicators for each of these individuals under the departments. So obviously goal setting is a very important thing. Your individual goals are tied to departmental goals. Departmental goals are tied to divisional goals, and divisional goals are tied to the organizational goals. If that isn't there, we don't feel connected to what we're doing for the company. We might just do individual things and we might achieve some individual goals, but we have not contributed to the organization. And that's the key. If we see that sense of direction, if we know that what we are doing at the individual level has some significance for the organization, it gives me that sense of identity and recognition towards what the organization finally achieves. That keeps me motivated. I know I am important, and I know everyone else in this department is important. All of us have to achieve what we are supposed to achieve so that the company can achieve what their vision is. And when the company grows, we all grow together. So, that's such an important thing. That's part of leadership. How leaders can communicate these goals. How can they inspire action at every level? How can they use them as catalysts for change? How can they mobilize and incentivize action at every level? Make every individual feel important, equally important towards achieving organizational goals. Remember, guys, the beauty of management, whichever organization you work for, it could be New York Tech as an educational institution, it could be a manufacturing company, it could be a hotel or a restaurant, it could be a travel agency, it could be any kind of organization. You have to inspire people to achieve their goals. And those goals must be tied to the department, division, and organizational goals. That's the key. Otherwise, how are people going to stay motivated? You can motivate one individual for a given period of time. How can you motivate that individual for a long period, persistently? You have to keep everyone motivated, not just for a very short time, like the way I'm motivating you in my class today. That's not enough. I have to motivate you for an entire semester, for an entire career. What you take away from the class should inspire you, not just for, this is a good class. Prabhakar teaches well. Okay, that's great. But if you're not getting motivated to translate this into your careers, into your passion, into your hobbies, into your life experiences, motivation is not that great. So I try to teach in ways that can connect you back to your life, to your career, to your preferences, to your priorities. So that's the importance of goal setting at the organizational level, breaking down to the divisional level, breaking them down into department level, and then breaking those goals further into individual level. That's the way you tie them up together. That's why you say it's cascading of objectives. Then you have this wonderful theory called, the self-efficacy theory. It's a belief that you are capable of doing it. Say, for example, Trin wants to do that diving thing. I'm sure she has this confidence in her capacity to perform that difficult task. And Chris wants to climb Mount Washington. I mean, those things come from the strong sense of self-efficacy. And how do you develop that self-efficacy? It's not like we are born to be capable of doing everything. No, we develop certain skills and capacities to be able to do something really well. So self-efficacy is built over a period of time. Nobody is good in math. Nobody is good in accounting as soon as they're born, but we practice. We are look up to role models. We listen to people's advice. We are energized to work hard, practice more, and then we become really good at doing something. So that's precisely this, an active mastery. We have to look at how we are mastering certain skills by experience. By doing it again and again, we're becoming masters at something. So Trin didn't do that straight away. She went to further many things before, and now she's ready for the big thing. So that's an active mastery. She's getting more experience. Now she's close to becoming a pro. Vicarious modeling. You look at somebody and you know that, oh, if that somebody can do it, so can I do it. It's not you're lesser than anyone else. If they can do it, I can. Vicarious modeling. You have plenty of role models. I'm sure Filippo had some role models in AC Milan. So obviously you can have vicarious modeling, verbal persuasion. There are people who talk to you either through directly or through a video or a YouTube channel or TED Talks, verbal persuasion. Somebody has actually convinced you that you're capable of doing this. You have role models, you gain some experience and active mastery, and then there is verbal persuasion. There are certain people who tell you something, you're very convinced because they are genuine people, they're honest people. You feel more convinced when such people tell you these things. You're not going to take everybody's word seriously, but somebody who really cares for you, who appreciates you, who respects you, who wants your well-being and your progress, when they tell you something, verbal persuasion, you begin to believe you are capable. Arousal, that is that heightened energy that you have to pursue something. You will explore and you will continue to explore. You will reach your goal because you have this energized level. You're in that energized state. Guys, that's the excitement that you should have always. Whether you're surrounded by people, whether there are people who are telling you great things about you or not, you should be in that energized state. This way you can get the best out of yourself. And trust me, each of us is very special. Each of us is very unique in terms of our ability. Only that we don't, we are not continuously aware of it. If you're continuously aware of it, it just translates into everything that you do, whether it's preparing for a speech, whether it's submitting an assignment, whether it's, climbing a mountain, whether it's pursuing a career goal, anything for that matter. Your energized state gets the best out of you. So this is what we talk about self-efficacy. You don't need XYZ. You're just so good yourself. You can get the experience. You can take somebody as a role model. You don't have to talk to that role model. You observe people. Verbal persuasion, you can listen to virtual content, and then you can, be persuaded that you're that capable, and then get to that level where you have that energized state, and the best out of you can come through because you believe you're capable. So if you can combine goal setting theory with self-efficacy, that's a great tool at the workplace. So, goal setting, don't set goals that are easy for your team members because you know they are capable. See, self-efficacy. So set goals which are challenging, which push them, which are stretch goals. That's what is goal setting all about. Why do you do that? Because you have faith in their ability, self-efficacy. And because you have faith in their ability, your team members believe that they are capable. And that's why they have self-determination, that they are going to do it. They want to do it. Not they have to do it, but they really want to do it. And because they believe in themselves and they really want to do it, and you have had trust in their ability, it'll result in better performance. So this is a great model. I really love this model. It starts with here, setting tough goals. Individuals have that confidence, which we call as self-efficacy, because you set tough goals. You're trusting their ability. And because of which, they have higher personal goals, self-determination. And because of which, their performance improves. Belief in themselves and self-determination that they have to do it, they must do it, they want to do it, it results in better performance. I tried to explain to you how you can set your team to really feel motivated in spite of the pandemic, despite whatever tough decisions are going on. You can still keep them motivated. That's a key. You as a leader, you have to do that. Managers just know how to manage when things are going good. Leaders really get people to be motivated when the going gets tough. So those are leaders. Yeah, self-efficacy reinforcement. How do you actually convince and verbally persuade somebody that they have the ability? Pygmalion effect, self-fulfilling prophecy. If I believe that you're all capable, and if I tell you that I believe in you, and these are my expectations about you, you will live up to those expectations, dear. When I expect low things from my students, they will perform poorly. When I expect real good performance from my students, and I trust you, and I have those expectations of you, I communicate my expectations of you, that's a self-fulfilling prophecy. I believe all of you are equally capable. All of you are amazing individuals. I've said that many times in my class, and I'm saying it again. That's my way of, it's a self-fulfilling prophecy. I know all of you are going to be successful. Everything will be perfectly all right for you. Having that positive vibes and those expectations and saying that to you is a great thing. We always make our own prophecies come true. When we prophesize something, we want them to come true. We work towards making them come true. So my expectations of you are like that. They're high, and I know each of you is capable. That's verbal persuasion. I'm trying to do that. I'm trying to verbally persuade you to believe that you are all capable. Yeah, reinforcement theory. This is a great theory. I have parakeets at my home, and to teach the parakeets to do something, what we do, let them do something, then we give them reinforcement. If they come and talk to me, I give them some food. If they come and give me a kiss, I give them some food. I'm reinforcing good behavior. When they do something nice, I give them extra food, some treat. This is what we call as operant conditioning. I'm sure you took it in Psychology 101, but this is a beautiful way of reinforcing behavior. Any good behavior that employees exhibit, you have to reward it. You need to reinforce it. You need to recognize it. You need to say good things. Okay? So reinforcement theory is talking about behavior. First behavior, then reinforcement. Only those behaviors that are reinforced will be repeated. When you do good things and I reinforce it, you will do it again. My parakeet will do it again because it got treats today. It'll do it day after tomorrow again because I'll give it another treat. Make it reinforced. Make it learn that if it does good things, there is good things coming. It's the response and then the stimulus. First you work very hard, then you get the grade. First you work very hard, then you get the promotion, you get the rewards, you get the incentives, you get the bonus at the workplace. First you work, then you get it. And then you see the connection, then you will repeat. You will do the same thing because here is a boss who recognizes you. Here is a boss who is reinforcing good behavior, good performance. Like just the way I'm reinforcing the behavior of my parakeets. That's how it works. Reinforcement theory. Then we go to the social learning theory. This is a beautiful theory as well to explain how we learn and how we get motivated. Attention. Guys, we need to pay attention. I know paying attention is very difficult these days. You have so many distractions. Pay attention to your model. Whenever you see somebody doing a great job, you need to pay attention. At the workplace, suppose you're new to the job and you have a great manager with tons of experience, pay attention. Retention, remember. When you pay attention, you have a chance of remembering. And then try do things as that particular role model did it. Maybe you will do it differently for sure. You will have your own style of doing it. You'll have your own approach of doing it, which is good. But try, repeat, try and replicate what your role model was doing. And then reinforcement. If somebody said, great job, repeat it because it's being reinforced. And make that new behavior part of your natural behavior. So writing a research paper, the first paper is going to be difficult. But how did somebody do it? How did your professor do it? Pay attention. Remember, try doing it yourself. And then you will get a publication. You'll get the recognition. The third paper will be really good. The fourth paper you publish, you're an expert. Likewise, Trin. She saw somebody doing something. She remembers how it's done. Diving is done. Motor reproduction, she goes through the same motions in her mental state, and she actually does it physically. And when she does it, she gets a lot of recognition. They say, great job. It becomes reinforced. It becomes muscle memory. Next time she doesn't have to try so hard. She's motivated to push the benchmark higher, to push the bar a little higher. Expectations of herself are a little higher this time around. This is social learning, dear. This is what motivates us. This is another theory, which is called the equity theory. Equity theory was proposed by Stacey Adams, and this is when we make comparisons. If you look at this person A, this is person A, this is person B. Outputs and inputs. O is outputs, I is inputs. So when I'm saying outputs, what is that I'm getting? Whatever I'm getting from the company. I get a title, I get a nice office, I get good salary, I get good benefits. All that is outputs. What are the inputs? My time, my experience, my skills, my credentials, my unique creative abilities. All those are my inputs. Salary, title, whatever recognition is outputs. So I'm comparing myself with another person, B. Suppose B is my colleague, say whoever, Arbor is my colleague. So I'm comparing. What are my inputs? What are the outputs that I'm getting? And what does Arbor do? What are Arbor's inputs? And what does he get? Suppose if they're less than what Arbor does. I do a lot, but I get less than what Arbor gets. There's inequity. I'm under rewarded. I'm unhappy. I'm doing the same thing as Arbor is doing. Why do I get less output? I don't get recognition. I don't get the same salary. I don't get the same title and position. I'm under rewarded. Obviously, it's hurting my motivation. Suppose me and Arbor do the same thing and we get the same output. We say that's equity. I'm happy. Arbor does the same thing, I do the same thing, we get the same title, the same position, the same power, the same money, the same salaries, and the same benefits. Equity, I'm happy. Suppose, me and Arbor do the same thing, but I get more. I get more output. I get higher salary, better incentives, better title. I still will feel some sense of guilt. Arbor is doing the same thing, but why do I get paid more? If I get paid more, maybe that sense of guilt, I might increase my inputs. I might work harder so that I can overcome that sense of guilt. Inequity can be there when I get under rewarded. Inequity can be there when I get over rewarded. Here I'm dissatisfied, I might want to leave. Here I might work harder so that I feel I'm not over rewarded. That's equity theory by Adams. It's a nice theory. You want to be equitable. You want to make sure that you're treating people here. Whatever they do, whatever their inputs are, you give them the same number of amount of outputs that they deserve. It should be equitable. Then there is fairness. When I make a comparison, I'm not upset. I don't want to leave the company. So this is what happens. When there is inequity, you change their inputs. We try to work harder. You change their outcomes. Maybe you want to give more money if they're getting less now. Better rewards, better title. Distortion of self, perceptions of self. I want to distort perceptions of myself. I can even distort perceptions of others. Or choose a different person to compare. I don't want to compare myself with Arbor anymore. I'll compare myself with Chris. Or I'll simply leave the organization. I'm very upset. I'm demotivated because it's inequitable. I'm under rewarded. I'll find another job for myself. This is justice. We're speaking about equity and justice, right? Distributive justice. It's about what kind of, outcomes are being shared. Suppose we are one team and we work on a project, all of us should be equally recognized because we are one team. That's distributive justice. The outcomes are distributed in a fair way among the team members. Procedural justice. Suppose I'm evaluating my team members. I'm doing appraisal, performance evaluation of my team members. I use the same procedure. That's called procedural justice. The same, procedural or process to evaluate each member. My class has 48 students. I have to use the same process for evaluating your performance. I cannot have one procedure for one person, another procedure for another person. It's procedural justice. And then interactional justice. Treat people with respect and dignity. I don't treat only one person then nicely and the other people in a different way. No, I have to treat you, interact with you in the same way. Treat all of you exactly the same. That's interactional justice. Together, we call it as organizational justice. Outcomes are shared in a fair way, distributive justice. Same process is used for evaluating outcomes, procedural justice. Interactions ensure there is respect for every individual. It's called interactional justice. Together, we say there is organizational justice. Such companies motivate us. If we have discrepancies, if we have discrimination, we are not motivated in such companies. Then there's another theory. This is called the expectancy theory by Room, Victor Room's theory of expectancy. Effort leads to performance. There are three relationships that Room's theory talks about. What motivates individuals? If my effort is there, does it lead to performance? There's some students who work very, very hard. And if a professor gives them a poor grade, they feel, how come? I put the same effort. Why do I get a bad grade? So effort should be leading to positive performance. That motivates people. And a positive performance, suppose a good grade leads to a good internship or a good job. That's such a motivation. If I say, come on, guys, if you work very hard, you'll get a good GPA, it's good motivation. If you get a good GPA, we'll make sure you get a job or an internship. Even more motivation, because those rewards are closely related with your goals. Who doesn't like a good job? Who doesn't like a good internship? All of you do like that because those rewards are tied with your personal goals. So all three things must be there. That effort should lead to a positive performance. Positive performance should lead to a reward, in this case, a job, and the jobs are valuable for you as a personal goal. So if those three things are there, your expectancy is high, your motivation is high. So this is the expectancy theory of motivation. Yeah, this is how it is explained. Effort leads to performance, performance leads to rewards, and rewards are tied with personal goals. That's expectancy theory. Implications of motivation, all that we have studied so far, there's very strong implications. Motivated people are more engaged, they're more involved, they participate that much more, they contribute that much more. They will not simply stick to those things that are required on the job, but they will exhibit behavior which are beyond the job. That's what we call as organizational citizenship behavior. So anybody who is engaged, who is motivated, will do beyond the job itself, beyond the job description itself. So job engagement is the result of motivation. Again, what makes people more engaged? The degree to which they believe that they can contribute meaningfully at the workplace, the nature of work, it's significant, their contribution is really recognized. Individuals' values and the organization values are matched. I really care for the company. We share in that organizational mission and vision, and our values are pretty much, the same. Leadership behaviors. I just said that leaders are important. They motivate people, they inspire people, and they inspire employees towards achieving organizational goals. So obviously, engagement is definitely a function of leadership and the way they can motivate their employees. And another important thing that you want to keep in mind, extrinsic rewards should not be looked upon as if they're coercive, as if it's manipulative. Any extrinsic reward should tie up with your own self-determination, should be tied up with your own intrinsic rewards. Goal setting, set goals which are challenging, which are difficult, which are motivating. It should be specific, which should be measurable, which give a sense of identity for your employees. So definitely goal setting is a great motivational tool, and goal setting is extremely important because you can cascade organizational goals to divisional goals to department goals, and department goals to individual goals. There are other implications like reinforcement theory. If somebody is, showing bad behavior, they're absent. Do not reinforce that behavior. Tell them they're wrong. If somebody shows good behavior, recognize them, appreciate that, reinforce that positive behavior. They will repeat it. Do not reinforce, do not take it easy when they exhibit negative behavior. So you can control absenteeism, tardiness at the workplace, accident rates can be controlled, and positively reinforce quality and good quantity work. Equity, you want to treat people, make them feel that their inputs are being compensated with the outputs. If somebody works hard, they bring in unique credentials, they should get the title, they should get the salary, they should get the recognition that they deserve. You want to make sure they're happy. They have equity when compared with others. When they make their own comparison with colleagues, they should feel they have been equitably compensated. Expectancy theory, again, effort should lead to good performance. Performance should lead to rewards, and those rewards are valued by the employees, and they should lead to personal goals. So obviously, you want to create jobs where efforts are being recognized. It results in positive performance evaluations. And consistent performance evaluations means they'll get promotions. And those promotions are valuable for employees. They let them achieve their personal goals as well. So if you can do that, the expectancy is higher, the motivation is better. So we're done with today's chapter. If you have questions, we have a minute for